My name is Lisa. I live in Sarasota County, Florida. I've been in Florida for almost 10 years. So I was diagnosed in 2021 with stage 4 ovarian cancer. Medical aid in dying is so important to me as a professional end of life doula and mental health counselor working in palliative care at end of life. And also personally, now that I am facing my own um, terminal illness. I've actually gone to the trouble to move my domicile to New Mexico. I did that when I was first diagnosed, and then have spent the last couple of years making that happen. Um, Moving to New Mexico, for me, it's absolutely imperative. Um, with a stage 4 aggressive cancer to have the option to end my life peacefully. When we moved to Florida in 2019 to support my son, who was going to college here in the state, it was just before the onset of COVID. And so during COVID, I did an established care with a gynecologist, and I was a couple of years late. I finally got myself to a local gynecologist, and she did, during our first appointment, discover a mass that she called fibroid cysts. And she offered me a couple of options, mainly hysterectomy, and the word cancer never came up. She happened to go out of town the next week for a medical conference. I called into her office because I was starting to feel quite a bit of pain. The pain was to a level that I couldn't tolerate. And so I did go to the ER to see what's going on. So I did ultrasound. MRI was done in a period of 5 hours. The ER doc also said that he noted fluid-filled masses and that I needed follow-up. And in the meantime, here were some pain meds. Went back to the gynecologist, and she still didn't recommend that I see a specialist. But I had a feeling, I had an intuition, and I was so tired and I was in such considerable pain that there was something big going on. So I took it really upon myself to research gynecological oncologists in the area and see who I can get in with immediately, because this is not good and it's getting worse. So I did find a wonderful surgeon who saw me the next week. She said that she needed to take a look in person. So she went in. She then woke me up on the table 2 hours later to say that I had profuse cancer throughout my abdominal cavity and that I was inoperable at that time. That was a shock. I have been healthy all my life and really never expected that I would have to firsthand have the experience of cancer or a different terminal disease. So it was very sobering, and I got on the ball quickly because she did tell my husband that I probably had less than a month to live, unless the chemo that she was going to have another doctor prescribe for me was effective in shrinking the tumor. She took a sample of the tumor. It came back from the pathology lab that I have a genetic defect called BRCA1. It's actually a blessing because it does respond well to chemotherapy for women with advanced stage ovarian cancer. So I had 3 rounds of chemo. The surgeon went back in. In fact, the mass had shrunk significantly, and she no longer saw lesions on my diaphragm, liver, and spleen, as well as large intestine. So that was fantastic news and very heartening. Another 3, and sure was brutal. But after 7 months essentially in bed. After the chemo had ended, I started to regain my strength. And a month later, I was put on a maintenance medication called a PERP inhibitor. That was in October of 22. But just about 6 weeks ago, I had a distinct illness where I couldn't describe it other than I felt incredibly fatigued. And my blood panels showed that I had an immune system that wasn't functioning well. Incidentally, I did have COVID in April, and so that may also have contributed. So this summer has been a wash. And so I'm in what I call the second phase of survivorship, where I'm facing recurrence and I'm facing the actual planning of my death and how I would like my wishes to be brought about, supported by my care team. Counselor by trade with a master's degree in counseling psychology. I joke with my colleagues that I've been going through an adjustment order, a severe adjustment order for the last couple of years. Just getting used to the fact that my life has changed completely. I like to think of myself as living with cancer rather than dying from cancer. And I've changed my life and I've added some coping skills. I've found that I've needed to really put my health first and foremost. So I've retired from work for the most part, and I've claimed disability so I can afford to be retired. I've taken early Medicare. I've started to fully accept the fact of my mortality. My spirituality has deepened considerably through this period. And I do feel as if I'm ready to face my end with some grace. The way I cope with my fear, which is of the unknown, and also my fear of missing out on the life of my family and friends, is that I continue to employ both Western and Eastern medicine, acupuncture, exercise, diet, multiple support groups for ovarian cancer. I'm a teacher of meditation and I've been at it for over 30 years. And so my practice has changed radically to accommodate my new perspective. I've found it to be absolutely one of the most useful elements in my treatment. I'm grateful to be supported by my medical team, a variety of doctors, several ovarian cancer groups, including Okra and Clarity. I'll be teaching at the University of New Mexico 30-year medical students about my experience with ovarian cancer in effort to help these students who are in their OBGYN rotation more about ovarian cancer and the need to diagnose early and treat early. Because I'm clear-sighted about my end of life, I've gathered around end of life doulas. I've gathered around health hospice care and have put all these people and institutions into place so that I can feel fully supported and my disease process continues. And I plan to take full advantage of all the supports and pray for medical aid dying to come to the state of Florida. That's something I would hope that everyone across the nation would have the option at some point in time.